I'm part of Aztec Music Group, and I'm here with, would you like to introduce yourself?
I am Vincent. My real name is Rob, but hi guys, thank you for having me.
Hey, thanks for coming on. So, all right, okay, so for California, you know, or San Diego specifically, we have a thing called California burrito. Have you ever had that before? It's like a burrito with french fries in it.
Oh, okay, so yes, but in San Jose. So yeah, see, okay, you can knock it. What's the place called?
Have you tried it?
Well, okay,
what do you think about it?
Maybe it's not in a burrito, but I've had like asada fries.
Okay, those are good too.
Yeah, I've had like some variation of it, but I didn't find out about like street tacos until years after being here, and it's like the equivalent of like finding In-N-Out for the first time. It's something like it opens up and you're like, how the hell have I been living here and not know that these things are real? And everybody's like, Rob, you've lived in California for 3, 4, 5 years now. What are you doing? Like, we'll take you. Like, just go to these spots. It's so good.
It is.
But I would kill for a California burrito right now.
All right, maybe. I mean, if you're hungry, you'll get one later. The next question too is, so you know, you're in San Diego right now. But you have, well, I think you said that you have 1 weekend left of your tour?
Yeah, 1 weekend, 3 more shows, and then we're announcing more shows. But
keep posting.
Yeah, they'll come up.
But you've been on a grind because you've been touring for the last couple months. But how's it been? Because this is your first headlining tour, right?
It's really exciting, but also very daunting. Like when we were first about to announce it, there's different ways to strategize how to do shows, and you can play like the exchanges, you can play the. I'm trying to think of venues that would be like that in San Francisco or San Diego, like basement. Like you can play these, like they're called soft ticket rooms, and you can keep doing them over and over and over again. But a lot of the people that go to these clubs, if they're like, I mean, there's a whole dynamic between venues. I'm not trying to bash venues or the way that they do it because those venues are sick and the promotion's amazing, everything is great. But if you keep doing a bunch of those type of shows and not moving into the hard ticket realm, you can just get stuck constantly being like an opener for people or constantly going to shows where people are just going to go see a show. They're not like, oh, I want to see a Vincent show.
Yeah, it's
oh,
more like a casual thing.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, oh, let's go clubbing on the weekend. I don't care who's DJing. We're going to go get drinks and like have a good time with friends. Whoever's playing is playing. So when we were first thinking about doing it, we were all really nervous and apprehensive of it, even like manager, agent, whole team, because we didn't know what would come from it. Like we could have done this entire tour and have every show have like 10 people. And that was like the nerve-wracking thing. Not that every show would, and not that we thought every show would, but there's a huge possibility that could be a thing. And when we started doing it, like as we've been going through and now that we're nearing the end, like there hasn't really been a show where I'm like, oh, like, you know, there's only like 10, 15, 20 people. Like, even though I always tell people it's like whether it's 5 people or 5,000, I will always play the same way. Like even if it's less people, like if it is 5 people, I feel like I go harder just to make sure that like they get the experience.
Yeah,
yeah, exactly. Like I'll jump out, and like even tonight, like I'll jump out in the crowd. I'll go talk to people. We'll take selfies. We'll do whatever. Like we'll trade candy, whatever they want to do. But the tour's been going like extremely well. Although we were so nervous like launching it, and the idea behind it was, if you don't do it now, when are you going to do it? Because is there ever really a right time to do it? Which I don't know if there is. And if there was, then like I wish it would have just told me at some point. But yeah, tour's been great. Fighting for a lot of sleep and fighting for food, because you don't really have time to do either of those two things. Like I feel like the last time that I was home was Wednesday. It's Saturday now, and I'll get home tonight, so it'll be like Sunday. I'll have all day off. But over the last 2 weeks, I'm pretty sure I was at home for a maximum of 72 hours in 2 weeks, 14 days. It's like,
at least during this stretch, you'll have a little bit more time.
Yeah, exactly, and then almost done, and then back to making music.
And I know a couple weeks ago too, you dropped a remix you did with Bazzi.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yeah, Bazzi. Yeah.
So tell me how that came about.
I was supposed to do a remix of another song that was on his album. Manager knows a guy from the label that was like curious and wanted to get a remix from me, and that remix I couldn't figure out anything, and it didn't work. And on top, even like coming back to tour, it's really difficult to go from touring mindset of like, okay, it's more of like a survival I'm making it sound like it's hell. It's not hell. Yeah. Like I love doing this, but it is a lot of like, okay, when am I gonna? I have to plan out like when will I get sleep this weekend? Okay, we have like a flight here, and the other thing. This is where I'll sleep. This is when I'll be able to eat. This is when we'll go for the show. Then we won't sleep until plan the next time that you're able to sleep. And so when I got the stems for that remix, I was thinking to myself, I'm not going to be able to work on this until like Australia, New Zealand is over, because I had the stems like right before going or during, and I just didn't think that I'd be able to work at all. And then one day I was staying at Quix's family's house, like where he grew up as a kid, and I was staying in his room. And everybody had left, like his family had gone to like school or work, and they were all out of the house, and I was just kind of alone. So I started working on the stems, and it was like 3 hours that just passed by in 15 minutes, it felt like. And as soon as that happened, I'm like, okay, yeah, it's done. We can like, not done, but the idea's there. I know that I can finish this and be excited about it. But I'm actually really happy with that remix. I tried to make future bass without the generic future bass stuff that goes into it.
And speaking about remixes too, I'm actually wearing a Pusha t-shirt, and the reason I asked is because you know, you're from Canada, you know, everyone adores Drake there, but he kind of hindered one of your remixes, right?
What do you mean?
Because weren't you supposed to do a remix for Meek Mill, but then that beef happened?
Yeah, the beef happened. Oh wow, you know your stuff. Yeah, the beef happened like ages ago, and the remix was doing really, really, really well, and like number-wise on SoundCloud when that was like still a huge thing. And the label reached out to be like, yeah, we want to make this official. And normally, I feel like big songs like that, what they do is they'll make it official to like prolong the life of a record. And they're like, yeah, we'll do it. Like, don't even remember if there was money involved. Like, they just wanted to make it official. And I was like, hell yeah, like having an official Meek Mill and Drake remix would be sick. And then the beef happened right after that. And then literally within a 2-week spurt, it was like, yeah, we're doing this. It'll be coming out. Like, we'll get the contracts over to, it's off the table. Like, it's just gonna stay on SoundCloud. Like, actually, they were nice enough to say like, we won't take it off SoundCloud. We'll leave it and let you have this and like whitelist it, but we can't make it official now because of everything that's going on. Which I think has not even recently, but has somewhat recently been rectified. I feel like they're friends again.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, beef can't stay, you know, forever.
True. Very true.
Okay. And so I've noticed, you know, you have a tattoo.
Yes.
I think your manager Justin, he has like a grilled cheese tattoo.
Yes.
And
he does. This is what I'm saying. Nardbar?
Anyway, besides that, anyways, I heard for the tour you were actually gonna give a tattoo to one of your fans, right?
Well, I'm not gonna give it because I can't draw.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna get a matching tattoo with somebody from the artwork. Yeah, we're doing that next week. I think we picked the person too. We just haven't announced it yet.
Awesome.
But we're gonna. The plan is to get it, or at least my plan in my head is to get it next week before the Los Angeles show, because we kind of said if the show sold out, we made like 2 different claims. We were like, if the show sells out, we'll get a tattoo, and then we're like, no, like we'll get the tattoo anyways. I'm never really the type to want to keep. Like, I want to get this arm filled out. This side is going to say family, I think. I want to fill out this arm, but I don't really know what to get. So having something from the EP artwork really means a lot to me, because when we were first starting the concept of doing an EP, they're like, all right, well, you got to figure out an art direction. And everything before that in the catalog doesn't really have like a standard, you need to do these type of things, like have this type of direction going. And so we had to like come up with something that would fit. And we were like, how are we going to do all of this? Like, how are we going to make not a brand, but like something to attach to the brand to make it feel bigger or make it feel like your own? And so I came up with like these like stencil tattoo drawing ideas, just like a giant mood board. And then Cody Diodato, who designed all of it, like took his spin on it, which I was like, originally I was kind of apprehensive about it because I was thinking, okay, this isn't exactly what I like, but I realized after that I liked it way more because he took his style and brought it into what I was thinking. So it wasn't just like, okay, do exactly what I'm telling you. It's create something from what I've given you that feels like you, but also feels like what I'm looking for. And so I feel like at some point, one or another, whenever I do these like albums or EPs or LPs or whatever comes from it, if it's like a big part of my life, which this EP was, I'm gonna like put a little stamp on it to remind myself and like not forget. A lot of the time things go in one ear and out the other for me. I'm like very forgetful and airheady sometimes. So can't really forget it if it's stuck there.
When I read about that idea, I thought that was really interesting too. Was that your idea originally?
Yeah, we were trying to think of something like, it was more of like a PR thing. Like, how do we think of, like, a lot of people do like win a meet and greet and like play video games with, the artist downstairs in the green room. Exactly. I would love to do that, but when we started talking, we're like, people have done that already. Other people have done it. It's been a thing. We have to do something different. And I was like, well, I'll just get a tattoo. And they're like, Rob, like, you're not going to get a tattoo. And then originally the idea was get a tattoo at every single show and get like 30-something tattoos. And we were like, maybe that's not the best idea.
Yeah.
So then we like narrowed it down. We'll get one tattoo with one fan.
Yeah.
We'll like decide something together and then get it done together, just to have like a shared moment with somebody. But I have a feeling that now, like, that the tour is like coming to a close. We haven't done it yet, but as it's getting done, I have a feeling that it'll be like a reoccurring thing, because if I'm going to get it in the first place to remind myself of what has like happened, because it's been like a long thing. This isn't like EP starting the idea concept to end of tour. It's almost going to be a full year.
Yeah.
Like close to it. Like we started in September, tour is going to be done in like August. So it'd be like 11 months of my life dedicated to 5 songs or like an idea. So I think as we do that more and more, I'll probably end up like doing those type of contests where if I'm going to put it on my body, I might as well share the moment with somebody else that is willing to do it. Because not everybody wants tattoos, but if they're curious and want to do it, then hell yeah.
And I heard on the EP too, I think, I can't remember what song, but I remember it was track 5. You actually sang on that song too.
Yeah, that was really interesting. That was the second or third session for the EP, because basically what happened was my managers had set up blocks where it was like every day for 6 hours or 8 hours or however long it lasted, I would be with somebody that I'd never met before that comes to my apartment, that I talk to them for 2 or 3 hours, then we write music, then they leave, then I like probably go to bed, look up the next person that is coming over, listen to a bunch of their catalog to understand what their music is like, and then the next morning wake up, they come over, and same cycle over and over and over and over and over again for 3 weeks. And Pauline came in. It was on like the Wednesday. We started on a Monday, didn't have a session on Tuesday, and then did the session on Wednesday, if I'm remembering it right. Either that or she was the Monday. But she had never done a session with other people before, and I hadn't either. So we were both kind of like, okay, how does this work? And it was great because we both knew each other. So we were like, okay, we can get all the awkward stuff out of the way because I know you like decently well. But it was the only session on the EP, pretty much the only session that I've ever done where start to finish the track was done in that session. Like we started at 1 p.m. and closed at like 4 a.m. And that was it. Like we stopped to get poke halfway through, which I had never tried either at that point, which was like September of last year. I'm like, again, from really small place in Canada, there's not a lot of culture. So now that I'm out here, I try to get a lot more culture. But yeah, we like finished the song immediately, but we did the first half, got poke, came back and like listened to it and like, oh, this is amazing. And she's talking about how in the first half she's like nervous about a significant other and what they're doing, like maybe cheating, maybe being like shady or whatever's going on, and she's not sure of the results and like what's actually happening. So going into the second half after we ate, we were like, oh, I thought originally, like, oh, it'd be really cool if you come at this from the other angle. Like the first half is I don't know what's going on and I'm uncertain, and the second half is I've found out what's happening and here's my resolution. And she's like, oh yeah, that's a really great idea. You know what, we should get a guy to sing it. And I'm like, yeah, okay, we get it from the guy's perspective, and like maybe it's not the resolution, but it's his side of the story. And she's like, you should sing it. And I was like, fuck no, I'm not singing that. And then 10 minutes after, I was just like, oh, you know, whatever, like, might as well just try it. And then I sang the first line after. The verses are very similar, but there's small word changes to have, like, a different side of it. Like, uncertainty to this is how I feel. But the words are very similar. Like, the cadences are all the same. Like, the timing of the rhythm and the vocals is all the same because it's or very similar because it's the same words, but some of the words are tweaked to make it a different feel and like have the resolution side or have the other person's perspective. And I sang the first line and she's like, oh, you sound like Eden. And if she hadn't said it, I don't think I would have done it. And after she said that, I was like confidence through the roof. I'm like, okay, yeah, I'm a singer, like I can do this. There's a lot of processing on it. There's a lot to make me sound half decent, but yeah, I don't know if that's going to continue or if I'll do that more, but it was a really interesting thing to do. In general, because I feel like that never happens all that much, especially with like bedroom producers that just know how to sit on Ableton for 10 hours a day with headphones on. I don't see a lot of people sing. I mean, Jared does. Jared sings, which is cool. So there's definitely a few, but I feel like it's not as common. So that song means a lot.
Who knows? Maybe if it keeps getting good reception, you might switch careers and you might be the singer now.
I'll be the next Bozzy.
Yeah. All right. And so, you know, I'm a little bit tired about the music. Let's talk about one of your other interests, gaming. So, like, what are like some of your favorite games?
I play a lot of Rocket League, a lot of Counter-Strike. Sometimes Justin and I play Fortnite. Sometimes he's laughing, but sometimes. Just a lot of games. I'm like really involved in Twitch. Like I don't really watch TV because I feel like if I'm watching TV, like yeah, it's cool, like you can sit on a plane and watch Netflix, but if I have the opportunity or the option to game, I feel like I'm lazy just sitting there like vegetating, watching somebody else dictate what's going on instead of like, oh, I can be doing something. If my brain gets tired or whatever, then yeah, I watch other people play games that are probably better than me and learn from them. But yeah, I love gaming. It's like the other half of my life.
And right now, for like music-wise, you're currently independent, right?
Yes. Right. Now, because I was with AMG, and then we did the EP with them, and that was kind of the end of that. Like it was just like a one EP thing. So now we're just trying to think of what's next.
Awesome. Well, an ode to video games and you being independent and to one of my favorite games, I actually have a gift for you. Here it is. It's actually a game. If you
It's
haven't
actually
played,
Nardwuar. It's actually Nardwuar.
if you haven't played yet, I recommend you play. It's actually Shovel Knight. It's a soundtrack.
What is this? I've never even heard of this.
It's one of like hailed as one of like the greatest like independent video games.
Really?
Yeah. It's kind of like a side scroller similar to.
Began as a modest yet highly promising Kickstarter project in March of 2013. Wow. Hell yeah. I have a bunch of records, but I don't have a record player, so I'm gonna now buy a record player next week.
This is a rare find too, so.
Yeah, wow. Thank you so much for this.
Hopefully you enjoy the soundtrack and hopefully you'll play the game.
Oh, I love the artwork, so guaranteed I'll love the soundtrack too. Yeah, I'm gonna have to.
The artwork was kind of inspired by Nintendo too. Like in Smash, like some of the characters are, I think, trophies.
Are they?
Yeah.
Oh wow, yeah, that goes back to how Smash works. Because they give you trophies for a bunch of stuff too. Wow. This is actually really fucking sick. I'm gonna have to read about this after. Like, I'm actually really curious about this. Thank you.
And I didn't know that like it started from a GoFundMe. But speaking about GoFundMe's too, no, it's Kickstarter. Right? But I think you know where you're going with this, don't you? About GoFundMe.
He knows too much, man. Yo.
But I think.
What do you mean?
I think it's safe to say that like a girl and Coachella tickets is what brought.
Yeah. It was a weird noise, but holy shit. Yeah, it was so. I didn't have any money when I moved. I had met Cheney through Twitter. Literally on Twitter. I met Cheney on Twitter, which is, I always love telling this story because it's like if you're trying to find a girl, you can find girls everywhere, but Twitter I feel like would not be the spot. Hit it off on Twitter, started FaceTiming. She would fly over and came to meet me in Winnipeg, of all places. And then I would fly out every once in a while to come see her. But I was working as a lifeguard and swim instructor, or more of a swim instructor than a lifeguard. But I was working and my parents had like spent a bunch of money to try and help me get into the school the same way that I was trying to help and do that stuff. But it was really interesting when the tickets came up because we had them in January, everything was set up, and then my job basically said you can either do whatever you're going to do or you can keep your job. And Cheney had to convince me for, it was probably like 4 full days of like,
it's a big commitment.
Yeah, it's like, it was keep your job and stay in Winnipeg and do whatever you're doing, or quit your job, move to a different country, move in with somebody that you've like spent quite a bit of time with, but like you've never lived with anybody else other than your family because you're 19 at the time, and pursue a dream that could just flop. And it was like, keep your job, like stability, or all of the above on the other side. And after that, it was just kind of like, yeah, we're just going to jump and do it. But the GoFundMe came in because I had, like, if you don't have a return ticket, Canadians and Americans are both allowed to spend 6 months in each other's country a year. It's like 181 days. And it can be split. You can do it in 6 months at a stretch. You can do it 2 months or you can do like 2 weeks at a time. You can do 2 months every, 3 months or whatever you want to do. And the GoFundMe was to try and help, like, have something to be able to help with when I moved. But I remember I moved with, like, $1,500 in my bank account. And they let me go through, and they were like, yeah, that's enough to live on for 6 months. And as soon as I got there, I realized that is not enough. $1,500 does not go very far in the state of California. It does help a lot, but it's not something to live off of. It was very difficult to live off of it. But, yeah, you know way too much.
Luckily at the time, she was paying most of the rent there.
She was helping out a lot, yeah. And then there were a few deals that came in like a year and a half, 2 years later that made the swap. And I was very excited for that moment. I bought a laptop and a phone. And I was very excited about the phone because when I was driving around, like Cheney has a vehicle, and when I was driving to go do sessions or like drive and do like a whole bunch of stuff and get around, my phone was like a 7-Eleven SIM card plan. Like it didn't have data, it didn't have anything. I had enough to like text and call people for however many minutes.
So you have basically like a burner phone.
Yeah, literally. But it was like my actual phone, but it wasn't anything crazy. And like even there was times where it was like going from Orange County and driving all the way up to North Hollywood, and I would have to like at some points I would print out like MapQuest, like get the directions of like here, turn there, do the other thing. Or I would load up like everything on the Apple Maps and like let it sit, and as soon as it cut out, it was like, all right, here you go, like find your way. Yeah, but that was the reason I got a phone. I was like, I'm very excited to be able to like afford my own phone plan, and that was like a big step finally, because it took a long time of not having a phone plan.
Well, let's wrap up the interview. I have like some quick questions. This one's a fun one.
I was about to say I won't tangent on you.
Okay. It's okay. I love your tangents. Anyway, so I have another quick question. It's who's the most famous person like you have it on your phone as a contact?
As a contact?
Yeah. Like whose number you have that's pretty famous? Most famous. Would you say?
Probably Allison Wonderland.
That's pretty sick.
That I don't text her all that much. I feel like we just Instagram DM. Even if we have numbers, it's like
it goes down to DMs. You know?
Yeah. Not like that, but yes.
All right. And then my last question, because you're playing at San Diego. I think this is your third time, right?
Yes.
And I heard the past 2 times, everyone mid-set, someone's left on the stretcher. And so, do you think it's going to be consecutive? You think someone's going to leave on the stretcher this time too?
I kind of hope it doesn't happen because I don't want people to get hurt. I know that people go to it. Somebody twisted their ankle at the fair, and then I can't remember what happened at the other 2, but people always end up hurting themselves. I want people to make sure that they're safe. I feel like I'm trying to build this community kind of like how Sound Hollows is, or like people that are just like willing to do anything for the other people that are there because they're all similar fans of the same people. So having like a really supportive and kind and excited community is what I'm trying to do. And so I don't really start mosh pits myself, and I don't like jump into the crowd and do like I don't stage dive or crowd surf or anything like that. I'll jump in the crowd and dance with people, and I try to do that every show, but I hope nobody gets hurt. I don't want to be the cause of people getting hurt. It's really good social media though, but it's not something that I wish on anybody.
I mean, you don't wish for it, but how baller would it be like, every show I've done in San Diego, man, someone leaves on a stretcher. That'd be pretty sick.
That'd be pretty badass. Yeah. Although I feel bad for those people, and I want to make sure that they get treated properly and make sure that they're safe.
Well, thanks for taking time to do the interview. But before we turn off the camera, where can we find you on social media? Where can we find your music?
SoundCloud.com/Vincent_official for music on SoundCloud. Spotify is just Vincent. Twitter and Instagram it's Vincent_ one word. And on Facebook it's Vincent Official, no space.
Awesome. All right, and the very last thing is look into the camera. Anything you have left to say to your fans, friends, family?
Oh, you're kind of dark now. You might just
Go back.
I'll come to you.
Or you come to me. I love you guys. Thank you guys for making my dreams possible, because this is still unreal, and I don't think that it's real sometimes, but you guys make it possible. And thank you for having me.